up? For Oddschecker, I am here with the sharpest college football bettors, Alex and Joe. Guys, you know what? Before we even get into your picks, I feel like I never asked you how you're doing. Like, how was your weekend? Did you do anything fun? Let us know.
My weekend was good. I went 3-1 betting on college football, so we will definitely take that. Picking college football games would have been nice to be 4-0. Would have been 4-0 if Kansas and TCU had not combined to score about 1 billion points in the second half
It
of
was
their game.
crazy.
But you know what? That's okay. It was good process. We trust the process. We move forward.
Yo, you're rocking your Oddschecker gear. I love it. Joe, how was your weekend?
It was pretty good. I just pretty much just watched a lot of football. My show picks ended up going like 2-2. Maryland kind of had a collapse. Would have been nice to go 3-1, but I'll take the 2-2. Got 4 more today for this week, so I'm ready to get into it.
We're not even going to talk about the Memphis pick I made last week. I'm still dealing with the tragedy. But with that being said, my New York Giants, guys, we're kind of looking good. What do you think? I mean, I want to hear from the experts. Guys, it looks pretty good.
It looks pretty good. I'm not going to tear down your happiness on this one. Absolutely
No,
not.
don't take it away from me. It's all I have these days.
Hey, they're 4-1 in the NFL. It's all about winning. And they're winning. So that's what matters.
They beat Aaron Rodgers and his psychedelics. I am very excited. It is Victory Monday. With that being said, let's get some victory picks. Joe, I will start with you. What do you got for us this week?
Yeah, so the first pick I'm rolling with this week is going to be Duke +6 at home against North Carolina. North Carolina has played well, but they're kind of a weird team. They're very inconsistent week to week. They almost lost to a Georgia State team on the road earlier in the season who has turned out to be really bad, worse than a lot of people expected. And then they went on the road this week and beat a Miami team who was also a little bit of an underachiever, but that's a good win for UNC to go into Miami. Now they kind of have to go into this almost the same environment. They have to go on the road again where they're a short favorite. Duke is getting 6 points, so just inside of a touchdown. But I've been impressed with Duke this season. They've been able to move the ball and score the ball, but they're probably coming off their worst game of the season as they lost to Georgia Tech, who's kind of playing inspired football now that Jeff Collins has been gone. And that's kind of a theme we've seen across sports lately, is when a coach gets fired, a team somehow finds energy. And I think Duke bounces back at home this week against a very poor UNC defense. So I'm rolling with Duke +6, and I think they probably get an outright win here. And then the next pick I'm rolling with is another underdog. I'm going with NC State +5.5. I think this line is a tad inflated at the moment. Syracuse has been really good. They're undefeated. They're ranked. They're feeling really good. But you look at their schedule, they haven't really played a tough schedule yet. Their best win is against Purdue, and Purdue is a good team, but that was a fluke win. Fluke win, and it should not have happened. I went to high school with Payne Durham. He made a bonehead mistake and gave him 15 yards, and they lost the game on the last play. But they still only won that game by 2 points. Now we're getting 5.5 points. NC State has played 2 very tough games in a row against Florida State and Clemson. They went 1-1 in those games. But I just think NC State is talent level. They're about the same or better than Syracuse. And I think we're kind of getting record baited here a little bit into an undefeated Syracuse team. I think this line should be like -1, -2. So getting 5.5 outside of a field goal, I think is a lot of value. And then the last one I'm rolling with is going to be the Utah State and Colorado State under 48.
Let's say that for your play of the week.
Oh, no, I haven't said my play of the week yet. So this is
just
no,
you had another one. All right, never mind. Keep going.
Yeah, I got 4 for you this week. So I'm rolling with Utah State and Colorado State under 48.5. I don't know if you guys watched the Nevada-Colorado State game Friday night, but that was some terrible football. Colorado State won that game without entering the red zone.
Yeah.
They had two defensive touchdowns and a field goal. They could barely complete a forward pass. And I just don't see where the offense is going to come from. Utah State has a new quarterback. I believe Bonner is out for the season or just not playing or something. Cooper Legas has stepped in. And while he's been pretty good, they don't really pass the ball that much. They kind of rely on running the ball. That's how they kept it close against BYU. That's how they notched an outright win over Air Force. Utah State has really run the ball, and Colorado State's defense looked pretty good. While Colorado State just cannot move the ball on offense, they are one of the most in-net teams on offense in the country. I don't see this game getting over 40 points. I think this is going to be like a 21-17 grinded out type Mountain West type game. So I just think 48.5 is way too many. So I'm rolling with the under there.
All right. Well, I love it. I also love when you guys pick totals because I feel like we don't really do that very often. Last week, though, you guys were all about the totals. So I'm excited to see it keeping going. Alex, you got your Oddschecker gear on. You're ready to go. You're pumped up for this week. I'm excited to hear your picks. So just spew them out for us.
Yeah, no, feeling pretty good here. Joe, I want to say, I think the NC State pick is inspired. I might tail you there. I think it makes a lot of sense, and I'm with you I'm happy for Syracuse. I think Syracuse is solid, but I think we are getting record baited a bit with that spread. For me, I'm going to go Memphis +4 this week at East Carolina. This is an interesting game to me. Memphis has a pretty good offense, particularly in that they are good for a handful of really big chunk plays pretty much every quarter.
Maybe not last week's, but
well, even so, even in a game where
even
Memphis
so, they should have won the game.
Memphis blew a big lead to Houston, but their offense still moved the ball in that game. They still scored into the 30s. Yeah. I think that ECU's defense has had big problems this year with explosive plays, being leaky on the back end, letting up big plays through the air. Memphis is going to take advantage of that. That's something that they have been built to do for a long time. I think they're going to score quite a bit in this game. Also, they have a huge special teams edge in this game. If this thing becomes a field goal contest, I think Memphis is going to win outright, not just getting 4. You'll note that ECU has lost games a couple times this year against both NC State and Navy because they couldn't kick field goals. All in all, I have this right about a pick 'em. I think Memphis could very well win it straight up. I like them getting points, and I also think that their defense is going to play just fine in this game. In Tallahassee, Clemson's playing Florida State. What's that?
I was going to say they're in a revenge spot, so all the cards are in your favor.
Yep, no, absolutely. Big revenge spot. I think that Clemson and Florida State for me in Tallahassee is an over pick at 50.5. I see this as a mid-50s game, not a low-50s game. I think it's a good value call. Clemson should score in this game. They have been a really good drive finishing team. When they get into the red zone, they score with Will Shipley and company. Florida State has been very soft in that area of the field. But what FSU has done well is they have found, again, explosive plays on offense with Jordan Travis throwing the ball. I think that they have done a better job than they have done really any time since Jimbo Fisher left of building a passing game that is functional, of getting the ball downfield, pushing it downfield, and having receivers who can catch it and who can be schemed open. I think the Clemson defense is the best unit in this game. No question about that. But I don't think it's going to be a smothering where FSU just cannot move the ball at all. I think they will contribute towards this total a bit. And on the other side of it, I like DJ Uiagalelei. I think he's much improved, certainly over what he showed in 2021. I like Jordan Travis throwing it for FSU. And for those reasons, I'm in on the over in this game. I think that both of these teams are going to move the ball.
All right. Well, you guys got our picks, but now it is time for the most special of picks. It's our pick of the weeks, where these boys give you their best bet so far. It is only Monday. The line does move, so get them in quick if you agree with them. But we're going to start with Joe. Joe, what do you got for us for pick of the week?
Yeah, my play of the week is going to be Utah -3 at home against USC. And I even like the money line. I may even lay some juice on the money line just because I think Utah, this spot is just the prime spot for Utah. I've kind of had this spot circled for a few weeks. I figured that they would be favorites in this game. I didn't know if it would be 4.5, 5.5, but we're getting a field goal here in a reasonable money line. Utah is a really good team. I think they're the best team in the Pac-12. UCLA has shown flashes. UCLA just beat them. I think Utah is the most talented team. I just think UCLA is running on a high right now, and DTR is just unstoppable. But this Utah team, everyone's kind of forgot about them since week 1, where they lost to Florida on a last play interception where they could have tied it or won. This Utah defense is legit. They got exposed a little bit by UCLA, But honestly, this is more of kind of a fade spot of USC. Melissa, I know you love USC, but I
You
think
know I do. That was my next thing. That was my
I
spiel
think
after you were done your pick.
I think this is just a really tough spot for them. USC hasn't really played the toughest schedule. Fresno State
That's
was a
fair.
good out of conference game, but then Hainer got hurt, so that game kind of turned into a laugher. They handled Washington State. They only scored 30 points. USC's defense is improved, but this is going to be the best offense they faced all season. And USC being 3-point underdogs just screams to people that to bet them as the underdog. I mean, they see that plus sign and they're undefeated and they're a top 10 team. To me, this is just a huge line indicator to back Utah here. Utah is going to have 2 losses now, and they're going to be favored by 3 points over a top 10 team in USC. This is a Utah play of the week for me, and I think they come away with the win here. I think they're going to win like a 37-31 type game.
Listen, Joe, I love USC, but I love you more, so I'm going with your pick this week. There we go. Alex, you've got a pick of the week for me, which I love almost as much as Joe, because we are on the same side. So why don't you take it away?
Yeah, Navy is visiting SMU this week, and I'm on SMU minus 11.5 points. The reason that this spread, I think, is as tight as it is, relatively speaking, is that Navy kind of put on a show offensively last week. They destroyed Tulsa. It was 53-21. They scored more points than Navy has scored in quite a while. But I think you have to dig into what happened there. And I think the issue is that for years, Tulsa has been coached by Phil Montgomery, who's an offensive head coach, whose defenses have usually not been very good, but in particular have never, ever been able to stop the Navy flexbone triple option offense. I'm not sure if Tulsa just doesn't practice this well, doesn't devote time to it because they only see it once a year. I don't know, but Navy runs over Tulsa almost every year that these teams play each other. I don't think Navy is actually fixed. I don't think their offense is actually good now or back to the Navy standard that you've seen under a Malcolm Perry at quarterback or Keenan Reynolds. I think Navy is still kind of the degraded down Navy that we have seen, and I think that will materialize again against SMU. I think they'll run the ball okay. SMU's defense is not the scariest unit in the world, but I think the big problem is that SMU is going to score a ton of points in this game because the Navy defense is not especially formidable. There's just more firepower, more talent on offense in particular. If you're looking at SMU against Navy, the game is in Highland Park. I feel very good about the Mustangs.
I love it because that was my pick of the week before I realized that was your pick of the week. So, I mean, it's interesting, though, because SMU has only covered the spread once over the last 6 games. So I'm a little scared. And SMU is winless against the spread when it's 13.5, but we are not 13.5. We are 11.5. And this season, the Mustangs have been the moneyline favorite only one other time so far, a game they won. So I think the odds are in our favor here. Joe, hop in here. What do you think?
Yeah, I like the Navy fade angle. I like the Navy fade angle more than I like the SMU backing them angle, but I might actually go with SMU. I might actually go with SMU first half spread here. You might get like a minus 6.5 or a 7. SMU has covered a lot of first halves and has kind of tapered off in the second half. So they've given up a lot of second half points. I backed them against UCF. I thought we were doing good. They dominated the first half of that game, but fumbles and red zone inefficiencies, they were only up 3.
Well, that's your own fault for betting against UCF.
They just got dominated in the second half. And but I do like the Navy fade angle. I think Navy is not that good. They just had a lot of success against certain teams. The Service Academy games are always close. They covered that one, and then they have an outright win over Tulsa. I do love the Navy fade angle. I don't think they're going to be that great this week. So I would probably roll with SMU first half, but I do like SMU in the spot.
Let's just circle back real quick. Were they playing UCF at the Bounce House, or was that an away game for UCF?
I think it was the Bounce.
I think so.
You bet against the Bounce House, Joe.
UCF has a wide receiver playing quarterbacks. Yes, I did fade them.
All right, that's fair. I mean, Dylan Gabriel has left, so I'll give it to you. But Come on. You're betting against my team?
I
happens.
had to do it.
I'll
Had
allow
to
it.
do it.
We'll see what happens. Guys, we are wrapping up this episode for college football on Oddschecker. We are here. We will be back next week, Monday. I'm joined with the sharpest of bettors, Alex and Joe. They're awesome. I would tail them because I'm going to. So take my advice. And we'll see you guys next week. Happy betting.